he kind of whips his head around and is like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "It's okay." He's like, I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry." And he must have apologized at least a dozen times. And I was really like, no, 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 it's fine. It happens all the time. You don't understand. Um,
Most of the people, aren't gonna say anything. I definitely get weird looks and stuff, but like that's not the end of the world.
a lot of people freak out. My parents freaked out. My family members still freak out.
Yeah, like this is really what it's coming down to, is like, do I keep living a lie, or do I stop and live my honest truth in what this looks like?
The first question everyone wants to ask is about the surgery. Is, are you gonna get surgery?
Let me tell you about the 16 different types of sex changes that we have. There's phalloplasty, urethral lengthening, poidioplasty, vaginoplasties, orchectomies, there's oophorectomies, there's hysterectomies. There's a lot going on there for what we can do for gender confirmation surgeries below the belt.
And it's about so much more than that. Which I think, which exposure like teaches you, you know what I mean? I think it was a growing experience for me to have all these friends that I could talk to about this, and it's a growing experience for them to really kind of like learn what it actually means to be transgender.
When I see you, I immediately assume what your gender identity is. When people are watching this video, they immediately assume what my gender identity is. And I'm sure that some people watching this video will probably get it wrong. And that's okay. Like, you don't always know what somebody's gender identity is. That's why it's important to ask, or why it's important to be really flexible if you find out that you were wrong in your initial assumptions. Because assumptions are a thing that I project on other people, or that we project on others, not what other people actually identify as or what we identify as.
And that was the thing when I came out to my parents as genderqueer, because I did. I came out to them as genderqueer, and they were like, you have to pick a gender. I think our biggest fight when I left home actually was like, you need to pick a gender. You can't be a genderqueer. Like that, what is that? For them, it's like your sex equals your gender.
Yeah.
So, having to tell folks that no, and then that's not it. And even now my mom is sort of trans aware, sort of. She's still oh, well, gender's here, sex is here. I'm like great, cute, I'm glad you're there.
It was a feeling, definitely. It was because kind of the real actual feelings of dysphoria, and the physical feelings, the physical disconnect, the dissociation in my mind and body. That was something that really started when I was about 13, which, biologically speaking, it's when, puberty's starting and you're experiencing the hormones and, the idea being, my brain was expecting one thing and it was getting another, and it was causing some issues. And just, which would range from, depression, severe depression, anxiety, just, and kind of just being incapable of really functioning, and always just this feeling of this barrier between my mind and my body, I could never actually be in my body, which really didn't change until I started hormones. But yeah, 10 years ago when I was a teenager, I didn't even know what transgender was. It wasn't even a word. Transvestite was a word, transsexual was a word, and those were dirty words. Those are things you didn't want to be.
I started going to a trans support group, and we would all come together every week on Monday nights for 3 hours, and then after that we'd go out for spaghetti. I love them dearly. It's just these are people who I still love and hold on to, and who I don't necessarily say I was close friends with, but who saw and understood my gender, really understood what it meant for me to be genderqueer. And it was sitting with them and seeing them, and having feeling accepted by other trans folks that really kind of kept me going, so to speak.
you think that patience is a virtue?
Oh God, yes. Yeah, patience is probably the most important thing that you can have with yourself in this kind of situation. It's like, it's a very long progress. And I started like, you know, I'm glad I didn't wait till I was 40 to start doing all of this. But even starting like a little later, you know, at 26, definitely had a lot of things that were very slow in coming along with it. Even just like having patience with myself to be able to come out to people, which is a terrifying thing. You know, coming out to my parents was just like so nerve-wracking. And they were totally accepting, you know. Surprising because they're, you know, baby boomers. They're in their early 70s, so.
And I think it can be really hard as a young trans person, or even an older trans person who's just in the beginning part of their transition journey, whatever that is trying to figure out how those pieces fit together into creating your own box, since there are no guides out there. It's IKEA furniture without the directions. You might decide you want to, you know, be on hormones, and then decide you don't want to be on hormones. That's okay, because that's what I did.
And even still, it's a small minority, but it's like growing too. I mean, even just in like the past few years, like seeing how much more visible it is, how much more acceptable it is. It's like really nice to see a lot of younger people, like, you know, I'm 27 right now, and see people who are like 10 years younger than me, who are like clearly going through some things and questioning their own gender identities and playing around with gender roles and presentations, and like, I think it's awesome. I actually think it's like a cultural evolution.
And what's something that you would tell a kid who's starting this journey?
Two things. I don't know. Part of me is like, just in general for trans youth, it's like, you are loved. Somebody loves you. I love you. We are siblings. There's this something about our transness that makes us unique. It makes us special. It makes us honest. It makes us human. And so there's that.
To not be afraid that it is an absolutely valid way to live, that other people live the same way, and, you know, really just like the most important thing would just be to accept and love myself. You know, if I'd started doing that 10 years ago, you know, I mean, I'm good where I am, but, you know, would have avoided a lot of hardship along the way.
Other folks who are in that self-discovery phase too, find them, say, hey, let's hang out, and build yourself a group of folks who are in that process of discovering themselves too. And you'll never be anything less than who you are right now. You will be you in this moment, and that is beautiful and okay.
They've got a fam?
They have a fam, yeah. We're everywhere. That's one of the big things, we're everywhere. You might not see us, but we're all around, you're never really alone.